Now, after 23 years, Nick Ross presents his final edition of Crimewatch.
Give me the box.
OK, calm down, mate.
Shut up. Just give me the box.
Don't do anything stupid.
Now.
An armed robbery, but one passerby didn't think twice about putting himself in the firing line.
I could see out of the corner of my eye that no one was really doing anything. In those few seconds that I had to make a call on what to do, I took it upon myself to just go for it and try to help.
Tonight, in his own words, the commuter who took on gunmen at his local railway station. Hello, good evening, and let me, for the last time, welcome you to Crimewatch. We're live, as always, and of course for the most important crimes to solve, and we'll have more on that extraordinary armed robbery in just a moment.
Also tonight, we're after the gang who destroyed an innocent teenager's life. And we ask, why would someone want to murder a 92-year-old war veteran?
Plus, have a look at this lot. All of them on the run. Help put them behind bars.
Tonight's first reconstruction features a hero. Though I have to tell you, he hates being called that, and he's turned down a huge sum of money to sell his story to the papers. He didn't want money, he didn't want fame. Accordingly, we chose an actor who looks quite different. But he's so keen that Crimewatch should catch the crooks, he's now decided to appear on camera in person. His name, Adam Mapleson, might not sound familiar, but you may well have heard what he did. It happened in Rayleigh, Essex, 5 weeks ago. Friday, May the 25th, in Rayleigh, Essex. In a matter of minutes, three very different worlds collided.
I got up at 6 o'clock. I work in London, and I have been for just over a year and a half. Everything seemed quite normal until I actually got to the station.
Nearly done. Control, all spot checks completed. Ready to proceed, over? Roger that. Right then, where to first?
Rayleigh, railway station.
Blimey, we're 15 minutes late. Better get our skates on.
Whatever you say, boss.
Bye, Mum. Bye, Dad.
Adam left home as usual to catch his train to London.
Where are they?
Don't worry, mate.
There's something wrong. That's them. Go, go. Come on! Look at this traffic!
Christ, man.
Are you going to get a move on?
I'll just go and get the second one.
Righto.
Give me the box.
OK, calm down, mate.
Shut up. Just give me the box.
Don't do anything stupid.
Now. Now.
I turned up to go towards the station. I think the first time that I actually realised something was wrong was when I saw the security guard. She had quite an aghast look on her face. I could see out of the corner of my eye that no one was really doing anything. In those few seconds that I had to make a call on what to do, I took it upon myself to just go for it and try to help. Obviously, it didn't really all turn out how I would have hoped. soon as I saw the gun, I just felt fear. I took a step back, held my hands out to my side, just to not provoke him anymore. That was the last thing I remember.
Go! Get his registration! Get his registration!
I don't actually know when he did shoot me. I was quite disorientated. I put my hand to my chest and saw a lot of blood. I didn't really feel much pain at all. I think it's just all the adrenaline and shock.
He's been shot!
God. You all right, mate? You're right. Look, we're going to get some help, OK? Stay with me. Stay with me. Will someone please get an ambulance?
All right, man, it's okay. We're not being followed.
Oh, my God. It's got a safety lock or something. I don't know how to open it. Hang on a minute. I can't see. I can't see. Where's the money? I can't see.
The robbers drove the escort down this road, East Cheap, a residential cul-de-sac, and dumped it at the bottom.
Come on over there! The money's ruined!
Just grab it and stick it in the bag!
Oh, my God, let's go.
Come on! Come on, move!
Having torched the white escort, the two robbers ran down an alley into Downhall Park Way. Here, we believe they got into a dark blue Mercedes 190 and sped away. That was the last time they were seen.
I needed 16 pints of blood transfused into me. My collarbone got shattered, so they've had to remove half of it. The bullet's still in my shoulder. I want to get on with my life. I want to end up going back to work and just getting everything back to normal.
This was a callous, premeditated robbery in broad daylight amongst innocent commuters that very nearly became murder. The two robbers didn't make any attempts to disguise themselves, so we've got good descriptions of them. Who are they? If you recognise them, you have to come forward.
I don't really regret stepping in at all. If I'd seen the gun before when I did, then I might have thought about it a bit more, because obviously I didn't want to put any more lives in danger. But if everything played out as it did, I would have done exactly the same thing.
What a great guy he is. And let's emphasise, they shot him out of malice. He realised they had a gun, he was backing off with his hands by his sides. Now, what we've got to go on, the cars, for a start, and frankly, one of the cars was running on its own plates, I gather. It's proper registration plates.
That's right. We know the car was bought on the 17th of May in Kent.
This is the white one?
That's right, the white Escort. It was passing through Dartford Tunnel that same afternoon, but we don't know where it was between then and the morning of the robbery on the 25th of May.
Now, we saw the registration, M134TRC. You want to know where that thing was parked up. The second car, I said Mercedes, we said Mercedes 190. It might have been a BMW. We're not really sure what that was.
That's right. It could be a BMW. It's a possibility.
Now, what are these guys about? As you said, no disguise.
No, it was... We know that they did not have any disguise. They did not try to hide their features. We've managed to get two very good e-fits of the two robbers, and we believe that they would be quite distinctive as they ran away from the burning vehicle because of the dye. Indeed, witnesses have told us that they looked like they had a fake tan on.
Extraordinary. Everyone's great aunt knows that cash boxes are booby-trapped. These guys, they didn't, or what? I mean, it just seemed completely naive.
Absolutely.
There's a big reward which might tempt some of their friends to come out of the woodwork and tell you who they are.
Yes, if anybody knows who these two robbers are, then please give us a call. If they want to talk to me, they can. It'll be in strictest confidence, and there's £25,000 reward in it for them.
OK, 25 grand. Give us a call here, 0500 600 600. You can find details on our website, bbc.co.uk/crimewatch. If you want to get that award anonymously, you can always call Crime Stoppers. They're on 0800 555 111.
9 months ago, one child bravely reported a man who cared nothing about destroying her life. As he fled, other children came forward. Detective Sergeant Jane Corrigan set out on a manhunt.
Leslie Finch is a sexual predator, wanted for abusing young girls.
He had his hands on top of my trousers and, like, in between my legs.
He touched down below. Touched everything, really.
But now he's the one that's being hunted.
When this case came into our office and I saw the details, I was absolutely horrified. I deal with sexual abuse cases every day, but this one just really stood out. What these children have suffered at the hands of this man, I just can't begin to describe.
It felt like when he was doing it, it was like a gnat going all over your body, and then coming back for more. You know, when a gnat goes over your body and bites you and then goes away. It felt like that. Afterwards, he replied with the words, "Thank you, baby."
The search for Finch began last October when one child came forward. We went to an address in Kent to arrest him, but he'd already packed his bags and left. But while we were there, we seized his computer and found further evidence of his crimes.
The images that we found on Les's computer showed sexual abuse on a child by an adult, and they're graded as one of the most serious that we can deal with in our job. And I think this really dictates and tells us what sort of character we're dealing with.
Before Finch left, he wrote what appeared to be a suicide note to a member of his family. With it was his passport, driver's licence and savings book. We didn't know if he was dead or alive, but we started delving into Finch's life, and the trail led to a printing shop in Kent where he used to work.
You got the feeling that he was possibly a bit of a Walter Mitty character. He appeared to tell some wonderful tales, which transpired to be lies. I never felt that I could get to know him. There was a Les that you never ever found out about.
What is true is that Finch had a liking for the seaside. As a child, he used to holiday in Southend and Margate. Could it be that he was still alive and hiding out on the coast? In December, we had a breakthrough. A car very similar to this turned up at Dover Docks, and it was Finch's. We thought Finch was trying to leave the country, but he'd merely sold his car on. The new owner confirmed that not only was Finch alive and well, but that he was living in the coastal town of Newquay. We tracked him down to a local guest house, but he'd fled just 1 week earlier. The first his landlady knew of his past was when we knocked on her door.
I'm shocked, absolutely shocked. I just cannot quite comprehend that the person who I just thought was just a normal, everyday, really nice guy isn't.
We're getting closer and closer to finding him, but every day that goes by that he's out there gives him an opportunity to find another victim. We have to stop him.
It feels like I'm going to be stuck with this for the rest of my life. I know I'm still young, but it's always going to be there in my brain. I literally despise the man.
I think the saddest thing about this sort of crime is that it's something that stays with the victim forever. He will serve his sentence, but that's something that will stay with them for the rest of their lives.
My dream would be for him to get caught and have to pay for what he's done, and everyone to know that people can't trust him. To know for definite that it couldn't happen to anyone else, that would be a massive relief.
Jane, we really need to catch this man tonight, don't we?
He's dangerous, Fiona. We need to catch him before he reoffends, and those girls have been so brave in coming forward.
They certainly have. What more can you tell us about what he looks like?
Well, he's quite short, 5'6" to 5'7", average build, grey to brown hair. He's got a very small scar on his lower lip, and he's quite softly spoken. Previously he's had a moustache, but he could be clean-shaven.
And he's used a whole variety of aliases, hasn't he? His landlady thought he was called Kevin.
Yeah, he even told her that he was gay. I mean, the other thing we know about him is printer by trade, but he has building qualifications, so maybe he's looked for work in the building trade. And also he loves the seaside. Where has he gone from Newquay? Has he gone to another coastal resort?
Well, you might be tempted, but please don't take the law into your own hands. If you know where Finch is tonight, call the police. Or call us here in the studio, 0500 600 600. And of course, if you've been a victim of abuse or any crime, the victim support line is 0845 30 30 900. Now, here's Detective Constable Rav Wilding with some faces you might just know.
Yeah, someone knows where these guys are hiding out. Our number one is wanted in connection with the murder of 17-year-old Anna Capinto, shot dead at the Swan pub in Tottenham. Tristan Walker is 21, wears his hair in plaits and has a disabled right arm. He's now believed to have fled the London area. If you see him, please don't approach him. Call police immediately. Number two is Matthew Parsons, wanted for deception. He was arrested for an identity fraud to the tune of £3,000, but skipped bail. He's 6'1" and has connections to London and Surrey. Police also want to trace his wife Jackie in connection with other deception offences. Now, next up are two men wanted in relation to the murder of a man in Newport. The victim was carried into the Royal Gwent Hospital last November, and one of the men carrying him is thought to be Bak Phuong Nguyen, our number three. He's short, just 5'3", and originally from Vietnam, and also goes by the names Tong Truc, Tuan or Didan. Now, number four is Lee Min Lee, also Vietnamese. He's 5'8" and has a tattoo on his left arm which reads 22/7/1973. Lee has many aliases, including Lee Van Kai and Vung Hung Lee. There's a £10,000 reward for information leading directly to an arrest. So know where any of them are, you know what to do. 0500 600 600, or of course you can text us on 83199. Just type CW and then your message.
Coming up, after a day out in town, how did this young woman end up dead in a river?
There's like an empty gap in my life now, and I am going to miss her dreadfully.
And a chase through the streets, a shopkeeper in hot pursuit of thieves. But who, if they've any sense, would take on this butcher?
Abdul Malik had just got engaged. He had a bright future ahead of him. But in an unprovoked attack in April, he was left fighting for his life. He'd been shot in the face in what police believe was a case of mistaken identity.
All I heard was a loud bang. He had so much to look forward to. He was only 19 years old.
Come on up, panic on!
It was a bank holiday Monday. The sun was shining, and Malik spent the morning shopping in the Green Street area of Forest Gate, East London.
How much? Wait, hold tight, hold on. There was a watch here. Do you remember the one I was telling you about last week? Yeah, I do. I'm feeling it. It's that one. Look at this one. Oh, that way. Hey, who do you think you are? 50 Cent.
Around 4 o'clock, he went home and was relaxing with friends.
Come on, Dad, let's go outside.
No, wait, it's nearly done, it's nearly done.
About the 40. Come on. Yeah, my over.
Where is it? Can you see him?
Look.
Oh, no. Man, I've got him. He's there.
I just caught a glimpse of the car as it was slowing down, and I caught a glimpse of 4 Asian guys inside the vehicle just before I heard the bang. And I tried to follow the car.
Which way? Is it left or right?
I didn't see what turning they took, and I lost them.
Malik, you all right? Malik,
Anyone help! Someone help! Martin, where'd you go? We need some help! Help! Help us now! He's been shot!
Can I have a police, please? Someone got shot, mate, quick! Someone got shot!
And my brother's just been shot on the doorstep. He's not breathing or anything. Could you hurry up? He's not saying anything. There's blood everywhere.
This car just came past here. There's just shot a bullet here. Shit, man.
Malik was shot in the face with a weapon like this. It's a single-barreled pump-action shotgun. It's missing, and we need to find it.
Airway clear. When Malik arrived in our casualty department, he had suffered a horrendous gunshot wound to the head, and he required urgent ventilation by our doctors to resuscitate him.
His whole body was swollen up. He was unrecognizable. He didn't look like my brother. From the injuries he had in his brain and in his eyes, he had very little chance of surviving.
The people who did this are extremely callous, dangerous individuals, and I'd like to get them off the street as soon as possible. We know that a T registration red Vauxhall Vectra saloon was used in the drive-by shooting. In it were 4 Asian males aged in their early 20s. Just before the shooting, witnesses saw a black Audi in its path, causing it to slow down.
Whoa, stop!
I'd like to know who the occupants of that car were and whether they've got any information at all that could help us. After the shooting, the red Vectra sped off along Lucas Avenue towards Queen Street. Did you see this vehicle in Lucas Avenue, and do you know where it went after that?
A 19-year-old is fighting for his life in hospital after a drive-by shooting in East London last night. The latest in the spate of youth violence in the capital.
We felt he was not going to do well, and we told the family so over the next few days. But to our surprise, he started to show marked improvement over the next 3 weeks.
They told me I'm blind and they had to remove my right eye, and I said, is there any hope in the other eye? They just said no. And I said, is there anything? They said no. And they just left, and I had to deal with it.
Although miraculously he has recovered this horrendous gunshot injury, it's just a great tragedy that he's been left blind in both eyes at the age of 19.
Obviously it's life-changing, and obviously my heart is breaking inside day by day. Each day, my heart is already cracked into pieces. It's gone. That's never going to be fixed again, like my eyes,
He's a really strong person. That's why he's made it through. Because if he was weak or anything, he wouldn't have not made it. But he's a really strong boy. Sorry, can I just wipe my tears?
Because I'm going to miss my mum's smile. I'm never going to obviously see the sunshine. And I won't ever get to look at my girlfriend's face again. If I ever have kids, I won't ever get to see their faces.
He doesn't deserve it. No one does, but that's what people who do think this kind of thing shouldn't be out on the streets. They should get caught.
Now, Steve Desmond, you do not see guns like this in circulation very often, and this is just like the one that was used. I mean, whoever did use this really meant to hurt someone, didn't they?
That's right. I stress, obviously, that's a weapon of the type that we think was used in the offence. At close range, that's a vicious weapon and clearly is going to cause very serious injuries or death to whoever is on the receiving end.
Well, certainly he's very, very lucky to be alive. And the thing is, he wasn't caught up in any kind of trouble, Malik, was he? He was just an innocent guy, just happened to be standing there.
Malik is a lovely man. He's never been involved in anything at all. Entirely innocent young man. We've looked at motives, possible motives why this would happen to him. We haven't found any. I can only conclude that this was a case of mistaken identity.
And you think the answers to whoever did this lie within the community?
Absolutely. Where this occurred, it's a very tight-knit community. I strongly believe that the men involved are local men, and that the community must have information about who's involved in this and haven't yet come forward.
And this is Forest Gate in East London.
Forest Gate.
What about the 4 guys in the car, you
Yes.
believe, 4 Asian guys?
Yes.
Obviously, 3 of them were not holding this weapon. What can you say to them to encourage them to come forward?
What I'd say to them is, you're quite right, there's one man who pulled the trigger, there's 3 other men in that car. Now, they may not have known what was about to take place. Now, this is their opportunity, and it may be their only opportunity to come forward and tell police what they know, and they may be a witness. If they don't come forward, their time's rapidly running out, and they may then be a defendant, awaiting trial, and a very long prison sentence if they're convicted.
Well, someone knows who these lads are. Do the right thing for Malik and his family. If you know anything, give us a call, 0500 600 600. Or you can text us, of course, on 83199. Type CW, then text us your message.
Now, the life and death of Charlie Stead, a grand old man from Dundonald in Northern Ireland. Charlie was well into his 90s, was well known in the community, and was well liked. So why would somebody want him dead?
He didn't deserve to die in the way he did. It was a terrible act, a terrible, wicked thing to happen.
He was harmless. Charlie wouldn't have hurt anybody, so why anybody wanted to hurt Charlie, I'll never know.
This is Dundonald, East Belfast, and this is the street that Charlie Stead lived in since 1963. He led a quiet life and kept himself to himself, which makes what happened to him on the 26th of February even more incomprehensible.
The phone rang and you answered the phone. And it was the neighbour down below. She asked me if I had heard or seen Charlie about, because his milk hadn't been in, and he was a creature of habit. He always had his milk in. We went round.
The 2 of us went round.
Mm.
When I looked in, there I could see Charlie, of course, lying on his face. To one side of him there was a massive pool of blood and a lot of matter lying on the floor beside him, and my first concern was to ring an ambulance. But unfortunately, Charlie was dead.
This was clearly no accident. Charlie Stead died instantly as a result of a violent blow to the front of his head. The force of the blow was so severe that it caused his skull to fracture into at least a dozen pieces. These are the sort of injuries that we're more used to seeing in high-speed traffic accidents or where someone has fallen from a high-rise building.
When I heard that he had died, in a way I accepted it. I was sad, but I accepted it because he'd had a good life. But a few days later, whenever the word came through that he had been murdered, it was terrible. Really dreadful.
What happened to Charlie is a complete mystery. There was no forced entry and nothing was stolen. But whoever attacked him clearly wanted him dead, and we don't know why. The last time anyone saw Charlie alive was on the morning of his murder, Monday the 26th of February, shortly after 9 a.m. He was standing in the street and seemed to be out of breath or in pain. He wasn't seen again until around midday, when he was found in his house murdered.
He swam every other day and he went to the ice skating and he skated every other day. He had been all through the war, and to live and then to be cut down in his life by a brutal act like that was dreadful.
On Saturday the 24th of February, 2 days before the murder, Charlie was seen here outside his house about 12:30 p.m. talking to a young man. Who is he? He's 5 feet 8 inches tall, light brown hair, late 20s to early 30s, and wearing a denim jacket and jeans.
It's just unbelievable that this could happen to a kind old man that lived next door.
He never did anybody any harm. And I hope that whoever did it is caught.
I think there are still some people in Dundonald who think that Charlie died of natural causes. This is a guy who was ice skating at at that old age, whoever killed him, this was incredibly violent. It may have been an axe or a spade that was used to attack him through the head. And whoever did it is probably local. So somebody in Dundonald who's got a really violent streak. Charlie was last seen approximately 9 o'clock in the morning. That's Monday, the 26th of February. This is Camber Park in Dundonald. He was found at midday. Did you see anything then? Certainly on the morning of the murder, we know there was a wine-coloured car, possibly a Ford Focus, that was parked outside Charlie's house. We just want to eliminate that. We don't think that's involved. We need to eliminate it. And then, of course, there was that man seen talking to Charlie outside the house 2 days before. Please pick up the phone tonight. 0500 600 600. Now here's Rav with some villains caught on camera, and some pretty nasty villains at that.
And I must warn you that tonight's CCTV is some of the most horrific I've seen. It's not just robbers and petty crime. Tonight we're also dealing with brutal thugs and murderers. So you might find some of this footage distressing.
Friday night in Witney, Oxfordshire, and the two lads in the white T-shirts are on the way home. But check out the guy behind them on the right. He and a mate are about to launch a vicious, unprovoked and prolonged attack. They punch and kick until one of the lads lies helpless on the ground. His friend tries to protect him and gets a kick in too. But these thugs aren't finished yet. In a sickening twist, they force their victim to beg as they film him on a mobile before kneeing him in the face. The victim is left bleeding while they walk off laughing. Appalling, gratuitous violence. They're cowards with no shame. Give us their names. The man in the anorak is also prepared to lash out for no reason. He walks into this building society in Congleton, Cheshire in the middle of the day and demands money. He's armed with a knife. When he's got what he wants, he doesn't just leave. Instead, he punches the member of staff, then kicks him, before finally running out. But not before we've had a proper look at him. Match that coat with that face and call us. This woman's wanted for a series of purse thefts in Kidderminster town centre. Here she is strolling through the town, rifling through the purse of her latest victim. On one Saturday alone in March, she's thought to have nicked 7 wallets. Let's call time on this pickpocket. Wandsworth Station, early one February morning, and this girl's approached by a man asking for directions. He lures her outside and, unseen by the cameras, punches her and tries to drag her into a side street. Luckily she gets away, but we need to find him fast before he targets another victim. The next case is probably the most brutal and tragic we've seen on CCTV, the murder of Ati Omuaru. Ati waits to pick up his car from the Neros garage on the Lion Industrial Estate in Barking in January. 2 men enter and one shoots Ati in the back. There's a struggle, more shots are fired. Ati dives over the counter for cover, and as he lies on the floor fighting for life, one of the gunmen leans over and fires again. His accomplice picks up Ati's cash dropped in the struggle. Cold, calculating and callous. They were seen arriving 2 hours before in a Vauxhall Omega to lie in wait for Ati. Distinctive alloy wheels, M to V reg, 94 to 99 model. Did you sell it to someone at the time? Where is it now? It's not very reliable. At one point they had to get out and push. A targeted murder by 2 men who staked out their victim and killed him in cold blood. For the sake of Ati's family, help us find them.
There's a 20 grand reward on the head of those gunmen. Descriptions of them, as well as all the CCTV, is on our website, bbc.co.uk/Crimewatch. And if you know who they are, ring us, 0500 600 600. Or remember, you can text 83199, just type CW and then your message.
If someone tried to steal your hard-earned cash, what would you do? Risk your life? Butcher Jim Spain didn't give it a second thought.
Well, I've been a butcher in Bromley now for 40 years. I have regular customers. I've even had customers my grandfather served. They've known my brother and I since we were small kids working in the shops. Normally, I don't bring the cash to work on a Monday, but I had something to do then. I didn't think I'd have enough time to get to the bank.
Morning, Jim.
Oh, morning. How are you today?
Very well, thanks.
Now, what can I get you?
Let's have a look now. A couple of lamb chops, Jim. Right.
Pick out a couple of nice plump ones for you.
Lovely.
How's the wife?
She's very well, thanks, Jim.
Excellent. Yeah, I haven't seen her for a while.
No, that's true.
Is there anything else on there that I could tempt you with?
Have a look. Yeah, the sausages look quite nice.
Oh, yeah. How many
sausages.
You want? Shall I give you a bunch? You get 6 in those.
That's all right. Yeah, that's
Excellent.
fine. That's good.
OK, that's all.
He looked at me and I looked at him, and he got on his mobile phone, and something in my brain just told me that wasn't right, and I instantly thought money.
Bloody hell. Hold on a minute.
You all right, Jim?
I was just so intent on trying to stop these guys and get my money back, I didn't think about anything else. I really don't recall too much about it. I just remember hanging on to the guy. I was trying to throttle him so that he would stop. Well, I had a great big gash on my leg and some bruisings on my arm. They ought to be caught and banged up. They'd probably rob their own grandmother if they could.
If I hadn't seen it, I would not have believed it, the way Jim clung onto that car for dear life. It was a burgundy Rover 216. So have you seen it? And what about the two men we saw on CCTV? The first one, here he is. White, 5'6", so pretty short, 25 years old, short brown hair, black hooded top, black tracksuit pants and white trainers. And then the other one, we've got a really good look at him as well. He's again white, again about 5'6", maybe 30 years old, short, fairish hair, black jumper with white stripes across, black tracksuit pants and white trainers. They are such clear pictures. If you can think you can put those names to faces, or the names to those faces rather, give us a call, 0500 600 600. And details on our website, you want to have a look at that, bbc.co.uk/crimewatch.
This is Helen Maughan. She had a troubled life from childhood, and sadly, aged 24, she's now endured a troubled death. Someone killed her 5 weeks ago, and in the next 10 minutes, we hope someone else will call and tell us who.
Police. There's a body in the river.
The body was 24-year-old Helen Maughan, half naked, bruised, and her blood was found here on the path. There's also signs that she'd been sexually assaulted.
I'd never, ever think that it would ever happen, not to somebody I love. You don't expect it, do you?
She didn't have many people in her life, but the ones that she did have did love her very much. Helen had a very tough time growing up. I don't think Helen was ever allowed to be a child. She never had toys. The first time she was able to be a child, really, was when she came into care with us, with our family.
She was sad and down, but she always tried to, you know, keep herself happy and, you know, talk to people, and she just always tried to see the better things in life.
During the week before her murder, Helen had split up with her boyfriend. Probably not in the greatest of moods, she went out on her own for a few drinks.
With the help of over 50 cameras and more than 30 witnesses, police have been able to track Helen throughout the day. But there are still some significant gaps. If you were in Colchester, you might have the information that could solve this case. After cashing her benefit cheque and buying cigarettes, Helen wanders up the road to a bar she often visited. The pub is full of punters. Were you in there drinking that day? Helen goes straight to the bar and buys a drink.
Hiya, can I have a pint of Foster's, please?
She was so fun-loving, really, really fun-loving, always up for a laugh. She'd drag you out, you know, come on, let's have a drink.
Helen would mainly drink because it would give her confidence and it would make her feel good about herself. Helen liked to be liked, and because of the life she had, I think Helen found it easier to open up and be herself when she had a drink.
Do you remember seeing Helen? Who was she speaking to? And did you overhear any conversations? Did she speak to you?
How many have you had? I think you've had too much to drink. Wait, come on, stop it.
Whoa.
You're right.
Okay.
Eventually, the alcohol has got Helen too drunk and too loud. A few punters complain and she's asked to leave by the bouncers.
After getting thrown out of Quilters, Helen didn't go home. She had some more drinks at the Victoria Inn, where she was also asked to leave, before heading up the hill to the Marquis of Granby.
It's in this pub that she spends the next couple of hours. There's no CCTV, so what's she doing? Did you see her, or did you speak to her? Perhaps you overheard her on a mobile. Did she tell anyone where she was going that evening? The tiniest details could be crucial. Helen staggers back to the pub where she'd started. With the pub all closed up, she turns around and heads back out to the main road.
But then where did she go? Where was she for the next 2 hours? It looks like she's disappeared without a trace, but someone must have seen her between 11:20 and 1:50.
This could be our most significant image. A man walking a girl along the towpath at the side of Quilters at 1:48. Is this you? Or is this the last image of Helen? Within 5 minutes of this image, 5 numbers were dialed from her phone, but in each case, the caller cancelled.
After 1:55, Helen's phone was never used again. Helen was never seen alive again, and her body found 100 metres from this camera. Could this be Helen's killer?
I was supposed to go and see her that week, so for me I feel tremendously guilty, you know, that I didn't see her and I didn't get to say I love you.
I just feel like there's like an empty gap in my life now, and I am going to miss her dreadfully.
Tim, the more I learn about Helen, the more I feel for her. I mean, such a tragic life. Her parents died in childhood, then her grandparents. That's why she was in care.
That's right, yeah. She wasn't a classic binge drinker. She'd go out, sometimes wouldn't drink for days, weeks. When she went out, she couldn't stop at one. She was drunk all night.
The CCTV that you've got, you've actually got two people who might be able to help you with this.
Yeah. About 10:15 that night on the Friday, at the bottom of North Hill, there was an incident involving two men and a woman who I think could be Helen, and a handbag. Some passing motorists were involved. I'm very keen to speak to anybody involved in that incident.
We're not sure if it was a jape or what it was. We're not sure it was Helen, but we need to find these people, whoever it was.
That's right.
The pictures, sadly, at the towpath just before her death, they're very indistinct. Do you think that was the killer?
I think that's Helen and her killer. But then almost certainly a few moments before her death. Very, very keen to identify that man. I think this is a very violent offence, and I think that it could be somebody who knows who's done this, and it's very important that if anybody's got the slightest bit of knowledge about this, they come forward and let us know.
Well, he would have been out in the town in Colchester on that day, Friday the 18th of May, so anybody who's got any ideas, you need them to talk to you and trust you.
Please get in touch.
Just to give the name.
Yes.
And you're going to be able to eliminate that fairly easily, are you?
Indeed, yeah.
You've managed to recover all of her possessions, except for a mobile phone like this one. This is a Samsung E250. Now, obviously, you don't want people calling in from all over the country. Oh, well, there's a Samsung E250. These are quite common phones. What do you want?
If anybody's found a phone like this just after the 18th of May in the area of Colchester, North Station Road, been offered one for sale, then we'd like them to get in touch with us, and then we can do some inquiries around that.
OK. For her family, for everybody, please, the person who did this just has to be found. You know our number, 0500 600 600, and details are on our website, bbc.co.uk/Crimewatch, or call Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Calls to Crimewatch really do make all the difference.
Certainly do. Do you remember I reconstructed the murder of Paul Kelly? The 32-year-old father of two had been out celebrating the New Year when he was stabbed outside a pub in Bath. Now, two men have been charged with his murder and will appear in court later this year. And in March, Jane joined police in Birmingham as they investigated the sexual assault of a woman in Bordsley Green. A 28-year-old local man has now been charged.
In February, we showed footage of two men robbing an elderly man. Fortunately, prisoners at Her Majesty's Prison, Belmarsh, appear to love Crimewatch and were watching that night, and they named a fellow inmate, Richard Doherty, as one of the offenders, and he's pleaded guilty, which just leaves this man. Please take a good look and give us a name.
Now, here's Rav. He's got the names of the faces. Where are these men tonight?
Right, take a good look. Number 5 is Bobby Spears. He's wanted for conspiracy to murder David Totten at the Brass Handles pub in Salford last year. Spears is 39 and has several tattoos, including the letters N, F, B and S on his right arm, and the phrase "smoke it" on his left. He's thought to have left the UK and could be in Spain. Next up at 6 is this guy. We think his name's Saeed Ahmed, but he may use aliases. He's wanted in connection with an assault in Plymouth where a young woman was slashed across the face. He's 6 foot and he's thought to have extensive scarring across his chest. Now, he's got connections in Swansea, Derby and Bristol. William Cook is our number 7, wanted for a series of distraction burglaries across Hampshire and Sussex. Now, he sometimes calls himself Brian, has a tattoo of the word "bend me" on each elbow. Very funny. Now, police believe that Cook poses a significant threat and a possible danger to elderly people, so we need to find him fast. Now, and finally, number 8 is Elroy Otway, wanted in connection with the murder of Mark Daniels, shot in Wythenshawe last year. Now, Otway's 25 and is also known as Elroy Lamb. He has connections to Manchester and London and may be armed and dangerous. So if you see him, don't approach him. So, seen any of tonight's 8? Well, if you have, please give us a ring. 0500 600 600.
In the past year, with your help, we've managed to solve more cases than ever before. Now, 1 in 5 featured on the programme results in a conviction. Next month, in a special crime, which will tell you how 3 of the most difficult and intriguing were solved.
Killing by numbers. The story of a man obsessed with witchcraft and secret codes, who thought he'd got away with murder. The bank robbery in Manchester that had police baffled. Turns out, it was an inside job. And the 22-year hunt for the Salisbury sex attacker.
I'm apologising, sister. I am sorry for what he done to you.
Crimewatch Solved on Wednesday, the 1st of August, 9 o'clock BBC One. Now, Rav, any good leads tonight?
It's going well, actually. We showed you a poor man shot in Rayleigh, Essex, at the start of the show, who just saw a robbery in progress. Thankfully, some good calls coming in and stacks of names already. Some callers even think that they've seen some of that dye-stained cash, so that's looking pretty good. Now, that's some of the new stuff coming in. Now, to someone truly remarkable who's going out.
Well, as you know, it's Nick's last programme after 23 years. So it's the right moment to have a look back at some of the high-profile cases that have been solved thanks to him and, of course, to you.
Counting to on air is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to Crimewatch UK. Now, if you've ever worried or complained about crime, this is your chance to do something about it. We start with a case that's chilling. Somewhere, probably in the English Midlands, there's a killer on the loose.
Where are you going, anyway? Do you want to lift?
Good evening. Tonight, once again, we're asking for your help to clear up some of this country's serious crimes.
In fact, in a few minutes, you'll hear the voice of the man who kidnapped Stephanie Slater.
Have you got the money?
Who's this, please?
Never mind. Have you got the money?
Michael Sams is in jail tonight, starting 4 life sentences for murdering the Leeds teenager Julie Dart and kidnapping Stephanie Slater.
Of Stephanie's and several other cases, including that of James Bulger, shows that Crimewatch reaches parts that other appeals somehow fail to reach.
Police searching for a 2-year-old boy missing in Merseyside have found the body of a child. It was lying on a railway embankment 2 miles from the shopping centre where James Bulger was last seen on Friday afternoon.
By the time we finish this appeal, somebody watching Crimewatch will have a pretty good idea of who did this to James. Welcome to the new series, a new home for the programme, a new Tuesday slot and a new partner in crime.
Hello, I'm delighted to be joining the programme. Let me show you around our new premises. A year ago today, an unprecedented crime took place which astonished and sickened the whole nation.
Michael Stone has been found guilty at Maidstone Crown Court of murdering Lynn Russell and her daughter Megan and trying to murder her other daughter Josie. He was given 3 life sentences.
You don't have to call yourself a guardian angel to help cut crime.
This is a £50 note. In fact, it's not worth the paper it's printed on.
2 months ago, a man punched a woman and stole her handbag in Hampstead, North London.
Rip-off artists, literally.
So if you do get offered furs like these, fresh from the back of a lorry, give us a ring here, or ring your local police.
3, Mix and Hugh Jonathan.
1.
If you can help with any of these cases.
Now, it costs the country at least £2 million a year.
Police are desperate to speak to you. At least 10 people witnessed the events, but despite a wealth of detail, the robbers have escaped.
The BBC television presenter Jill Dando has been murdered outside her London home.
This is a sombre and, for me, a surreal Crimewatch UK. For all of us here, it can be gruelling coping with crimes against victims who are strangers. It's been almost unbearable dealing with Jill's death. It's the biggest manhunt in the country. It's had huge publicity. It has 100 officers drafted in full-time, and it covers an area of more than 500 square miles. The victims have ranged from the age of 10 to a woman in her 50s.
A railway worker was today given 7 life sentences. He was found guilty of a series of vicious attacks on women and girls in a year-long campaign of terror.
The railway rapist, the paedophile killers of Jason Swift and Barry Lewis, of course, of Sarah Payne too. There are so many others.
Proof is what's needed. The police still need you to help find it.
Police in London are investigating the murders of a 7-year-old girl and her father. They say the little girl has been shot.
Tony Ann Byfield, 7 years old, shot in the back, and the youngest victim of the escalating gun violence in Britain.
Without Crimewatch, Joel Smith would not have implicated himself in the murders. Without Crimewatch, the witnesses wouldn't have come forward. Without Crimewatch, I wouldn't have solved this crime.
Drama, conflict, sometimes, thank heavens, a touch of light relief.
My name's Nick Ross. I am the boss. Interest in us, lipton or must. Showing
See if there's something about him that's familiar.
You're nervous. Thefts and murders all get a mention. Frightening people alone on a pension. When you think it can't get no scary, we ask you if you... We're in the area.
It's not a perfect world, but it's not one to be frightened of either. So we say it tonight as we always have, and we mean it. Please don't have nightmares. 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 Whatever happens, don't have nightmares. Do please sleep well. Good night.
Well, this is a very strange moment for me and a very sad one. I'm going to miss you hugely on this programme, and I'm sure I can say that on behalf of all of you at home as well. You know what Nick does on Crimewatch, but you may not be aware of the enormous, enormous amount of work Nick does to prevent crime with all sorts of organisations here and abroad. It's been my absolute pleasure, and my privilege, actually, to work with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. 23 years is a very, very long time, maybe too much, I don't know, for television at any rate, which is a pretty ephemeral medium. And let's face it, some of our viewers weren't born when Crimewatch first started. It is time to move on. I just want to thank colleagues who devised and built Crimewatch into one of television's greats. Thanks to all the police officers, from constables to chief constables, who worked with us all these years. Thanks to the victims, who are really what this programme is all about. But thanks, above all, to everyone who's called in and solved so many crimes, and everybody who's watched. Please continue to do so.
Details on tonight's cases are on our website, as always, bbc.co.uk/crimewatch. Our phone lines are open till midnight tonight, and from 7:30 until midnight tomorrow.
Don't go away, we're back in half an hour after the news with Crimewatch Update. That's at 10:35.
And don't forget to tune into Crimewatch Solved. That's on Wednesday, the 1st of August. And I'll be back with Crimewatch itself live on Monday, the 20th of August.
Just in case you don't see the update in half an hour, it's a final goodbye from me. And one thing I've learned from Crimewatch, for every crime, there are millions of people watching who want to put things right. There's a lot more good out there than bad. So I really mean it when I sign off for the last time. Don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Till the update, goodbye.
Good night.
Well.
There's a whole world to explore out there, and on the one show we're going to be... exploring it. Correct. We'll be on every night, Monday to Friday, looking at everything from wildlife to real life. We'll be delving where other programmes just don't delve. No time for tea. This is serious. This is The One Show.
The One Show, with Adrian, Charles and friends. Live every weeknight at 7 on BBC One, starting next Monday.
Brand new ideas. Family fun. Inspiration that lasts a lifetime. Get your fingers green at the Hampton Court Palace Flower Show. It's showtime. Thursday and Friday at 9 on BBC Two.
Let's have some fun.
I know your game. I don't want any part of it.
Too bad. It's a good game.
Peace is no friend to men like us, men that thrive on blood and anarchy.
It's tiring work, I imagine. Killing people.
Rome continues Wednesday and Sunday at 9 on BBC Two.
This is BBC One, now the 10 o'clock news with Hugh Edwards and Asad Ahmed.
Tonight at 10, at least